Hi, I'm Dave Wurzel, and you're watching PHTV4 Spotlight. Today's Spotlight is going to be on some ways to save money, which I'm sure sounds good to a lot of people, but specifically in this case, we're going to be talking with Jim Chilson, who's the Communication Director for the Citizens Utility Board, and he's going to help us take a look at some things that we can do, some money-saving tips we can do around the home to, manage, I guess, our energy consumption, right? Or how we use that. And so, again, this would be very helpful, especially this time of year heading into the winter. So, Jim, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, people have been experiencing energy prices have been going up.
Oh, terrible.
And now we're headed into the winter. We know that the extra demand that's going to place on some of that need and consumption. So maybe let's talk about what people can do to save money or maybe conserve energy that are more immediate things around the home.
Right.
What would you recommend?
Yeah, well, we often tell people, don't get paralyzed by the problem. We're seeing these headlines about these massive bills. We're seeing, headlines about climate change. We tell people don't get paralyzed because it is a big problem, but there are a lot of things you can do right now to save money on your bills. You may not be able to do the big thing like buy a smart thermostat, but you can walk to your thermostat and knock it down a few degrees. We tell people keep it at about 68 degrees when you're home and awake during the winter. When you're asleep or away, knock it down by 7 or 10 degrees, and you can save about 10% on your energy costs. Now,
can I say a quick
yeah,
I meant, because we do that at home too.
Right.
Is there any issue between, like, let's say you set it at 68, like during the day, at night you push it down to 60, let's say. Is there any issue then when in the morning you come up and crank it back up to 68, like how the draw on energy or how long it runs to catch up, or the savings is still there?
I think the savings are still there. That's where having a smart thermostat or a programmable thermostat, where it's more even in how the temperature fluctuates. But they tell people 68 degrees when you're asleep or away, and when you're home or awake, 68 degrees. So that should be okay. You should still save money.
So we're dealing with winter here too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, in the winter. And the big thing is we're so afraid that people are going to see these headlines and they're going to take unsafe actions. And we always tell people that energy efficiency is about keeping your home safe and warm and lowering your bills. So never ever go below 55 degrees in your home. That can freeze your pipes, cause all kinds of problems, in addition to being a threat to your health. But that's a big one, just stepping to your thermostat. I think weatherizing your windows and doors. There's a lot of things you can do. You just go online, you can do research on how to do that. It's very simple. You can go to the hardware store for a relatively small amount of money. You can get these materials. We always tell people also improvise, that if you don't have one of those sausages you put at the end of the bottom of the doors, or a door sweep, if it's really cold on a really cold day, roll up a towel, put it at the base, and keep it out. Keep that cold air out. Also, at night, draw the shades, keep those icy night winds out, and then open up the shades during the day and let the sun heat and light your home.
I would say that's interesting because just from experience, I feel like I've noticed that, we pull down our shades at night, and in the morning I go lift them, and you can actually feel the coolness behind the shade. So it actually, even though it's not a sealed barrier, it does slow down the cold draft into the house.
Absolutely. I mean, number one, always just make sure to weatherize your windows, but also as an extra layer of protection, use storm windows if you have them, but at the very least, close those shades at night.
So there are a lot of little things a person can do around the house, whether it's the weather stripping around the house, the thermostat, obviously that's an easy one. Turn it up or turn it down. Any other little
Keep out the clutter. Your heating vents, it's amazing. Dust and carpet, furniture can get in the way of those heating vents. Make sure those heating vents are clear of any debris. Also, again, if you can't get a heat pump water heater, which is the top line of energy efficient products, make sure that you go down to that water heater, set it at the warm setting, which is at about 120 degrees, and cover it with an insulating blanket that you can get at the hardware store. It's always about, take action. Don't ever not take action. Take action and then work your way up that ladder of energy efficiency. So, begin by, putting that insulating blanket and setting it at 120 degrees, but eventually work toward getting, a more efficient version of that water heater.
Right. So there are some immediate things. Somebody can go do a lot of these things today.
Right away,
right
yeah,
now.
and always take action, do something to cut those bills.
No, the next thing I want to ask about is, and I know I've gotten the things in the mail, and I saw them on your website, information about like getting assessments done.
Yes.
Where an energy company will come to your place. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, one of the great things about the clean energy legislation that has passed over the last decade, and we always think, clean energy is affordable energy. One of the great things is it's given consumers a lot more choices. Your only choice used to be going with an alternative supplier, some competitor to ComEd. Those have largely turned out to be bad deals and ripoffs, so we tell people be very, very careful if you're going to go with an alternative supplier. However, they have some great programs like the home energy assessment. Energy efficiency is the best way and most reliable way to cut your bill. And the home energy assessment is a great program for NICOR and ComEd customers. Imagine this, it's absolutely free. Energy advisor will come to your house, will inspect your home, give you a list of actions that you can take to make your home more energy efficient. And while this energy advisor is there, they will install energy efficient products, things like LED light bulbs, which is another big tip. Make sure all your light bulbs are LEDs. They'll put in a low flow shower head. They'll put in a faucet aerator that can save you money, in terms of water efficiency. They'll put in pipe insulation, in places, water pipe insulation. They'll even install a programmable thermostat if you want. This is all optional, what things you want. They'll even install a smart thermostat and sell it to you at a discount. And they'll install a smart power strip and sell it to you at a discount. So there's a lot of free things you can get through this home energy assessment. You also can get some things at a discount. We tell everybody, take advantage of that, especially now. Some people are concerned about COVID still. Absolutely, they have an online version, a virtual version of this, where you can do this all online and you can get these products sent to you again for free.
That sounds amazing, especially the free part.
Yeah, my favorite.
Right, there aren't too many of those free deals. Why? But this is a genuine free deal that is truly beneficial beyond just that assessment moment, and let alone the information you can walk away with to hopefully improve things around your home. That's all right. It's on my list. I'm going to call.
Good. We keep talking about this ladder of energy efficiency, and it's really that you don't want that to be the last action you take is doing a home energy assessment. But it's a beginning,
Sure. All right, good. I like it. The stuff we can do around the house.
Yeah.
Let's get the assessment done. All right, so we're working our way up that ladder. So here come the bigger things that we can do that maybe aren't going to happen this week or next week, or maybe we're talking about the spring or summer even. Yeah. What about the bigger projects? And I think there's several out there, and I'm thinking anywhere from having solar panels installed to choosing different energy options. Can you talk about the bigger projects a person might consider?
Absolutely. I would start by going up to your attic first and seeing if you need new insulation. That's a big project, kind of a middle of the road project that can be really helpful. If the insulation is at or below the floor, the joists, it's time to get new insulation.
Now, when you get the assessment done that we were just talking about, will they check that kind of thing for you?
You can ask if they will check that, and if not, then you do your own inspection, or you can have a contractor come in.
Okay.
But that's a good thing that we tell people. That's one of the simplest big jobs that you can do, is just seeing if your attic needs new insulation. Then I would look at your appliances too. See if start off with the one that is the biggest energy guzzler in your home, maybe your refrigerator. And there's a lot of rebates right now with the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, with the passage of the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. You're always going to want to ask your utility or the person selling you if there's a rebate on this energy efficient appliance. Then we can go up to, once you've made your home as energy efficient as possible, I think it's time to consider solar. And there's two options in that way, in that regard. Is number one, you can get solar panels, or see about getting solar panels installed at your property, either in your yard or on your roof is the more common thing. If you don't get enough sun, like my house is not right, doesn't get enough sun. If you don't get enough sun, you can go with a new program made possible by clean energy legislation, which is called community solar. which is you can get all the benefits of solar power without having to install panels, which is a godsend to people like who are in apartments and people who don't get enough sun. This is a relatively new program where you can actually buy a subscription to a solar farm somewhere in northern Illinois in ComEd's territory, and you can actually get a credit on your bill based on the output of the size of your subscription. It's a really good program. It's offering about 10 to 20% savings for consumers. We have an online resource for people called solarinthecommunity.com where you can see all the offers that are out there. And we recommend, this option's not going to be right for everyone, but you want to do your homework, do your research, and you start by going to solarinthecommunity.com, and you can see all the deals that are out there. But right now, those offers are offering about 10 to 20% savings on the supply portion of your bill. One caveat to that is if your community has a community power deal and it's locking you into a lower rate than what ComEd is offering right now, you may want to just stay with that municipal aggregation deal before going with community solar. But if you're not in a community power deal, community solar could be just perfect for you.
And how do you find that out? Do you call ComEd or NICOR or
To find out if you're with a community power deal, I would call up your your city hall and see if you have a community power deal, and then just find out what that rate is, and then consider whether you should stay on that. But most likely you should stay on that rate rather than going with community solar. But for other customers, community solar can be a very good deal. Now, of course, if you're in a community power deal that's more expensive than ComEd, then it might be a really good fit for you.
What about, you mentioned like doing your homework, doing some research. So I do want to do a shout out right now. The Citizens Utility Board website is incredible. I mean, it's about a wealth of resource and information, a lot of things to click on to get information about this or information about that. Well, so let's say I'm going to recommend that they go to your website, but what other places can they go to do this kind of research, get their homework, so to speak, before they make a decision here?
I think C.U.B. is a great place to start. Of course, I'm biased,
sure.
But yeah, it's a great place to start, and then you can figure out what other sources to go to. But in terms of the solar world, there are just a lot of great organizations that are out there that can give good information. But your first stop is at citizensutilityboard.org, and they can give you links and
begin
resources.
To channel you to.
Exactly.
Okay.
But solar panels too, there's a lot of questions to ask. You may have heard of people going door to door and really doing a pretty high pressure sales
hard sell
pitch.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, for solar panels, a lot of times they're talking about free solar panels. What we tell people is just take a deep breath. Don't sign up for anything at the door, as with anything else. And they're probably offering you a leasing opportunity, which means you will rent solar panels for a good amount of time, 15 or 20 years. You probably will eventually own them. But the one thing about that is that may be right for some homeowners, but in this environment right now with all the incentives available, it may be better to just buy your solar panels outright. So we tell people, just consider all of your options. Right now, there are solar incentives because of state legislation that was passed and federal legislation that can take as much as 70% off the cost of installing solar panels.
That's incredible.
Never been a better time to go solar if that is the right choice for you. So somebody may come up and say it can offer you free solar panels. They're probably offering you a leasing deal. May be good for you, but it may not be. You just want to consider your options. And again, I think going to citizensutilityboard.org, checking out our clean energy page can be really helpful.
That's obviously very good advice, especially when you're talking about an investment this big, this serious,
Right.
And again, this is something that we're talking about down the road. So if you're thinking like next spring or next summer, you want to take a look at panels on your property.
Right.
Here's something you want to invest some time in.
Absolutely, you want to think about this.
Right. Okay. Final question for you: is there any other advice or first step advice? We talked about the easy ones: turn the thermostat down, do some weatherproofing around your house. Any other advice for people starting out or taking these steps towards? I'm gonna do something.
Again, I think that starting with the simple tasks, and there are a couple that I didn't mention, but there's a lot of things you can do in the kitchen. Just remember this: a lot of people have gas stoves. We have a gas stove at our house, and using the microwave can be a lot cheaper in the winter. So kind of being very planful about your cooking can make a big difference. washing only full loads of dishes, washing full loads of laundry, things like that are really important.
At different hours of the day too, is that correct?
Actually, that's a really good point. There's a lot of, and that's another step that people can take. There are a lot of alternative pricing plans that are out there. There's a great program that ComEd offers called Peak Time Savings. Everybody should be on Peak Time Savings. It's where they give you a credit during the summer for dropping your electricity usage, by using
during
energy
certain
efficiency.
hours.
During certain hours, they'll call. And then there's another program called hourly pricing, which is where they charge you an hourly rate for electricity. And that can be kind of scary to people,
Right.
but hourly pricing has proven to be a money saver for a lot of consumers. You just have to be, what they're trying to do is, the electricity is actually quite cheap, but during certain times of the day when demand is really high, it can be quite expensive. And what this does is it charges you a market rate for electricity that can fluctuate quite a bit, but there is going to be low demand times when that price is going to be quite low, much lower than what ComEd is offering. That can be a really good deal for people. Again, all of these choices, you have to do your homework. We don't ever want to say that, other than Peak Time Savings, we don't ever want to say that one plan is good for everybody. You just need to do your homework.
Okay. Jim, thank you very much. I mean, a lot of great advice here, a lot of good information. I definitely recommend checking out the Citizens Utility Board website. A lot of great great information, and then links that will take you to more great information.
That's right.
All right. Thanks again for being here, Jim.
Thank you, Dave.
I'm Dave Wurzel, and you've been watching Spotlight, and we've been taking a look at some money-saving tips that you can do with energy efficiency around the home, speaking with Jim Chilson from the Citizens Utility Board. Thank you for watching.